Hi guys, good evening and happy Sunday night. I hope everyone has had a great weekend. At least we've had the sun shining a bit, so that's been good. Tonight, this live is a little bit different. Usually, I share about the nutritional cleansing and the income opportunity um, with network marketing, but on this occasion, I'm going to be introducing a good friend of mine who I met back in July. Let me just get this working. Yeah, I met back in July on a personal development course myself. So he's going to be sharing his story. He is a mind. Uh, we've been able to since doing the do hashtag replay. Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
how are you?
Really
Good, good.
well. How are you, bud?
Good. I'm just making sure we're not sure if we have a bit of delay. You hear me okay?
Yep, perfectly.
All right, sweet. Cool. So, yeah, I was just before you jumped on, I was just sharing a little bit about how we met. So, yeah, back in July, we were on a personal development course together. So we did the Landmark Self Expression and Leadership Program, and we got partnered up as buddies. And I'd say probably
From day
about
one.
yeah, exactly. So I think I think since then, probably about 80% of the weeks we've been having a call every week and stayed in touch and been sharing our ideas with each other. So that's been it's been fantastic. So yeah, can you share with us a little bit about your background? What kind of let's start with some hobbies, stuff you love to do.
Hobbies. Big football fan, Arsenal my team. Supported them ever since I can remember, really. So sports are a pretty big thing for me. Football, cricket. Um, and then outside of that, it's just, yeah, personal development stuff's sort of become my new hobby, really. It's just learning about how to optimize and just how to have fun with it. What the world and life is quite serious right now, so it's always good to have a little bit of fun with it and just kind of playing that. Other hobbies, movie buff. Like a lot of movies, both Bollywood and Hollywood. Love a bit of song and dance, and a bit of action as well.
What's your favorite
Yeah,
movie?
I knew you'd ask me that. Ah, I would say Inception, The Matrix, Interstellar, Dark Knight. It's just always a toss up between the four of those.
Okay, cool.
But
So
yeah, anything that just makes you think a little bit and question the norm.
awesome. All right, sweet. So, what? Just tell us a bit about your family. So, you got wife and kids. Can you
Yeah.
just share a little bit about them?
Yeah, my wife and I, we've been together for 19 years. We got together in year 11. So she can't get rid of me, even if she tried. We've got two kids, a 5-year-old son and a 3.5-year-old daughter. Um, yeah, just blessed really.
That's awesome. So, um, how old are you now, if you don't mind sharing?
I am 35 years young.
Okay, fantastic. So, in your previous career, what have you been doing in your work life?
Work life, yes. So, I graduated in computer science at Brunel University and decided that wasn't my thing. So I joined a car rental company on a graduate program, was there in the car rental industry for 11 years. Started off just as a trainee and just basically learning how to run a business. So that was everything from operations, recruitment, training, development, sales, customer service, fleet management, which then progressed into a more corporate role, into revenue management, which was creating pricing strategies for seasons, car types for various different regions and various different markets. So it went from being an all action, on your feet, airport based job to an office based environment where it was still pretty much the same high intensity. Um, but yeah, so much was gained from just having those experiences.
Hmm. Cool, thanks for that. Anyone who's watching, I'd love to know where everyone's like checking in from. If they can, share their location
You see
and
where
send
they're
us some
at.
love as well. Good to know where
Send
you
that
guys are
love.
watching. So, yeah, when did your personal growth journey start? I mean, yeah, when did you first have an interest in, doing personal development and that kind of stuff?
I think it really became apparent sort of November, December 2017. I had to take some time off of work because of just a complete breakdown in my health that was just happening for probably a year and a half before that. And that was just everything from like my eczema flaring up to like elevated liver enzymes, having some neurological problems where I remember having to get a lumbar puncture done and electric shock test done and all that kind of stuff just to check, whether I had Guillain-Barré syndrome. So my health was just really, really up and down, and I just continued to power through it. And then it got to a point where I really started to question that I don't really think there's anything physically wrong. I think it's more in the mind, and I think I'm just carrying stuff that's just starting to manifest itself physically. So it got to about Easter 2 years ago, actually, where I just had this really random anxiety attack. I knew it was coming. I was just sitting in front of the TV and I could just feel it building up over a couple of days. And it was a Sunday night, and yeah, I just remember sitting on the sofa and just letting this thing just fly right through me. And I just remember feeling really hot, really sweaty, feeling like my chest was going to explode. Um, Paramedic came down and he's just looked at me and I looked at him and he goes, "All right, you've just had an anxiety attack, but you need to go to the hospital anyway just to get yourself checked out. We just want to make sure, we dot the I's, cross the T's." So I remember sitting there for like 2 or 3 hours, and then it was like, I've just got to get this sorted. And I just, the idea came into my head that let me just take some time off of work. Let me just negotiate a sabbatical and just rest, because that's what I really thought I needed. I just thought that I was burning the candle at both ends because I was commuting 3 to 4 hours a day, desk job, coming home, getting the kids to bed. So it was a really sedentary lifestyle and very high pressure. So I thought that's just what I needed, was just some time off. And I had a conversation with work. They were pretty cool with it. So it was about, let's negotiate how we can transition you out, give you some time off, and then come back in. So anyway, I went to the GP and he was just looking at everything that's happened in the last year and a half. And he was like, "I genuinely don't know what's wrong with you, but you just need to physically stop, because it's just one thing after another and it's just really random." So literally, as you were saying that, I was about to say, "Look, I've had this conversation with work. We're gonna, sort this out." And he's already signing me off. He's like, "Right, here's your letter. Do what you need to do." So I head back to work and pop in to see my director and my manager. And I said, "Look, this is what's happened." And they were like, "Okay, cool. Finish up tomorrow. Take your time off and let's take it from there." So at that time, I'd had some access to counseling and CBT because I thought, okay, maybe that's going to help just kind of piece together what's going on. And through that, it was determined that I was dealing with various elements of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and OCD, at various different things. They were just manifesting themselves in so many ways, which kind of made sense with what I was dealing with, and just kind of some of the thoughts that I would have, and I would just suppress them because I just thought this is nonsense. I'd just gotten so used to powering through things in life that I just thought it's just distraction, power through, power through, power through. Anyway, it got to 90 days and I was nowhere near ready coming back at all. So we went the next 4 months going on a month to month basis. And then it got to November, December, where I think that's the point where I kind of hit the brick wall. That was probably the rock bottom moment where I was literally sitting on my sofa over there, just staring at the telly. It's not even on. I'm holding a PlayStation controller because I can't even be bothered to play FIFA. And I'm just wondering, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? Who am I here? Like, I think piece by piece, I realized that how I'd identified myself as a father, providing for my children, as an employee, as a manager in my role, all of these things weren't there anymore. It was just literally me on the sofa, just staring outward, wondering what the hell is going on. And I think at that point is when I realized that I'd placed so much stock and emphasis on a particular identity that I just learned to create, to the point where I was actually questioning, is my sense of humor put on? Are the things I believe in really just a front? So I really just started to ask these really deep existential questions from myself. And that's when I decided that, I need to stop the counseling. I need to stop the CBT because it's just not working. I need to find these answers myself. And that's how it all started.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that. So when you started searching for some answers, like what did you use to try and unlock that, what had been coming up for you?
Yeah, so at that time as well, I just stripped out a lot of my social media. So everything just seemed really noisy. So I was off Facebook, I was off Instagram, I was off Twitter. I just deleted all my accounts or deactivated them for a while. And I just needed silence. And it was in that silence where I just sort of started looking at my YouTube subscriptions. And there were a few that I kept. There was Anthony Robbins, there was Jay Shetty, it was Goldcast, and there was something else that I can't remember. And just listening to that, because these were stuff that I used to listen to before, but I think now, and I think the trigger was that I was now actively looking for a solution. I started gravitating towards some of that stuff before, and I remember having a call. I actually booked a call with a Tony Robbins coach just to kind of see how that was going to work. So that was really the first step in just that inquiry as to, okay, how is this going to work? Because I know I need to find the answers, but I know I need some help in finding those answers. And I think that was that first step.
Cool. All right. Fantastic. So what other courses have you done? And what
Yeah,
kind of benefits have you got out of them?
definitely. So I think the biggest thing that really got me on track was signing up to coaching with Jay Shetty. Um, Jay's been coaching me in his Genius coaching group since January last year. I think we've had 80 sessions since then, and he's been going live every single week. And that covers everything from mindset, physicality, and consciousness level. So it just really adds the depth, and it's really kind of simple, actionable bits of wisdom that you can just start to implement. And I think that's really been the foundation of that. And for that, I'm really grateful because it really just kind of gave me a real sense of perspective of how I was just looking at things was wrong. I was looking at everything from a glass half empty perspective and just this is it. This is the only way. But actually seeing that there's opportunity everywhere. And when you start to identify it and start to get into action over it, that's where I started to notice that things really began to open up. And through that, a community of people became available, and it was then through there where I got introduced to Landmark, which is where we met. So I did the Landmark curriculum starting in April with the forum through till the end of our self-expression and leadership program in October. So if Jay's coaching that's really been the foundation of it, and Landmark's sort of been the pillars around that. And then the
I'd
next
love to get
stage was
I'd love to get a little hands up or an emoji from anyone who knows Jay Shetty. He's massive
get
on
ready for
social
this to
media now as
explode.
well. So
A
carry
lot
on.
of J love out there. Yeah, so I knew that I needed to fix my mind. I knew that I needed to kind of get a sense of my identity that goes beyond the mind. And then the next thing was right on a physical level because I knew I'd put on weight and I knew that physically I still wasn't quite there. I then connected with a guy called Ronnie Rich, who's Fit Banker, and did the 90-day program with him. And that was really an education into understanding how I operate on a physical level because everyone is unique. Everyone's a unique body type, whether it's Western bodybuilding format or in Ayurveda. So it's really just understanding at the physical level, how do I operate? And then, okay, what foods work for me, what foods don't, what exercises work for me, what don't, sleep patterns. So it's then kind of just creating the pieces of the puzzle of if I've got my head right and I know that there's a spiritual anchor and a more conscious anchor, how do I get the body in line with the next stage? Because without that alignment, nothing's going to work. So I knew that health was something that I needed to master, but actually just properly understand how I operated at the physical level and then to push that forward.
Cool. All right, fantastic. So, what would you recommend for anyone who wants to go on a personal development journey?
I think it's to start asking honest questions in that where you are at right now, and it's not to say that where you're at right now there's anything bad with it, but could it be better? And are you getting in your own way of what you're truly capable of? And I think that's a question that we don't really think about is that life has always been about certain metrics of success, whether it's a degree, a job, a status, a house, kids, all that kind of stuff. So we go through the motions of once we leave school, we've got to hit these things. But do we need to? What is your timeline? And are you chasing these things because that's what you think you should do? But actually, if you still have all of those things, is that still really meaningful? And I think that was one of the questions that I asked, was that I looked at myself saying that I've got a house, I've got a kid, I've got kids, I've got a job that pays well, I have everything and anything I could possibly want. I just didn't have my peace of mind. And I knew that where I eventually had landed up, certainly work-wise, wasn't where I initially started out, what I wanted to do, but just life, based on a certain set of circumstances, took me in a direction which gave me everything I had, but just not everything that I needed. And I think when you start asking that question of, okay, well, what is it that I need on a very sort of deep level that gives you that fulfillment? And then you start to see, okay, I think that's when the gaps start to appear. And then personal development, the way I see it, is just about filling those gaps and just elevating yourself.
So, would you say it's like you were trying to seek out your true purpose and how you could bring value to the world?
Absolutely. That's, in a nutshell, that's what it was. I just felt like, and I was very conscious, I was just playing so small myself, in that there was a lot that I wanted to do, but I just trapped myself in this box of needing to be the person that just provides security for everyone else, which I did, but I lost myself in the process of that.
Mm. And so, based on some previous experiences that you've now carried that into what you're doing now, can you just share about the space that you've moved into and what kind of service you're offering people and what you've been doing over the last few months?
Yeah, so the space that I've moved into is such a departure. So I've gone from doing 40, 50 hour corporate weeks to being a stay-at-home dad and building a business and supporting my wife's career and doing the school run and doing the meal planning and all that stuff. So it's been a complete departure from that, but I've really enjoyed it because I definitely see how grateful in the sense of the opportunity and the time that I've had to do that. And I really want to acknowledge my wife for that and sort of taking over the career mantle and going it going at it for herself, just so that's given me the space to work on myself and have time back for the family, time, energy with the family, with the kids. And then in terms of what I'm doing is that I've really just kind of unpacked myself, and I've just looked at how I got to where I got to versus where I'm at right now. And what I've learned along the way is what I'm offering, in the sense of just really helping people find the point in which that they lost themselves, and reverse engineering a life that actually is what they truly want. So what is it personally and professionally that they're after? And then it's really focusing on what does your identity need to evolve to. So what is the way of being that you need to adopt, and then just road mapping that with people in terms of, okay, these are based on what your outcome is, and how you've identified what your identity needs to be. How do we roadmap this process systematically so that we know on a daily, weekly, monthly basis how this growth is going to go? And along the way, stuff is going to come up, and that's where we just unpack the sort of the block, because the block is just a story that's situated in our past where a circumstance happened, and because we just didn't have the emotional intelligence or the vocabulary to handle it then, we've just deviated around that, and now we're just constantly replaying that situation. It just manifests itself in certain ways. So it's by identifying those blocks, we're just basically untying knots as we go to get as clear a pathway to actualization of whatever the vision is that we set.
That's amazing. So, you started off as a coach by helping out some, you were offering some free coaching and working through that. What did you learn from like helping others, and what kind of benefits have you offered people from doing that?
Yeah, so coaching was actually something that I'd always done without really realizing. Even in my previous job, I was always the person that would coach the new people, that would lead the sales training. And again, it was the way I did it was identifying what people's blocks were when it came to selling a product or an upgrade on a car rental. A lot of the time, it wasn't even the customer or the product that was the concern. It was usually the concern was with the employee, in terms of, could they ask for a certain amount, or how is it going to come across. So I just kind of pieced together in my own reflection. I've just always been able to connect and get into another person's world and just make them feel safe, and just actually opening up and being vulnerable and saying, look, this is the issue. This is why I can't ask for 50 quid a day to an upgrade from a KA to a Mercedes or whatever it was. It's like, okay, I get that, but this is the service that you're offering. It's not about you, but I get where that's coming from. So why don't you just take this on and just present it in a way that it is the benefit for the customer? And just by having that conversation and just kind of taking the sting out of it for the other person, I'd started to produce results for everyone that I was training. Moving forward now, I think the results that I'm seeing for people is that they're creating careers that were always just an idea or a dream, but people are now in action and creating things like not-for-profit organizations or going into an artistic area and just actually fully being who they are. But at the same time, and this is the key thing as well, is that they're positively impacting other people in what they're doing. And I believe that's so important in that I don't necessarily want to be the person that just coaches someone to their next pay rise or their next promotion, whilst that is important. But I genuinely want to work with people that are change makers and that want to better themselves so that they can help other people and just further humanity in that sense. Because I look at it in a way that everything that I'm doing is that I'm doing it for the benefit of my kids, so that whatever access I have to coaching material or mentors, it's for them. But that shouldn't just stop with my kids. It should stop with, it should carry on with every child in the world. Every child should have access to a conscious way of living, or just the access to, actually being able to understand the mind and how it works. And if stuff comes up, it's okay. Just learn how to deal with it. Um, but yeah, it's really powerful, some of the conversations I get to have, and that it's people really come out of the shell that we all box ourselves in through time to time. But it's like seeing the phoenix emerge from the flames in that sense, and just seeing their wings spread and just go out there and actually commit to doing the things that they create and they want to do. And I'm just there just to kind of say, look, I've got your back, and just guiding them along the way.
Love that. And especially how you're thinking about the future in terms of the kids, and trying to impact them at a young age so that they're not carrying around the so-called baggage that some adults hold onto from a very young age.
Yeah. And I also think it's important that kids learn how to communicate, because the worry that I see, particularly with sort of the generation of kids now, is that they're so used to sort of communicating or talking behind a screen, FaceTime and that stuff, but face to face, that's the concern, is that how are they going to relate to people in an office environment, or just in life, when you have partners or relationships, is that communicating behind a screen or a chat board is one thing, but face to face and reading body language and managing emotion, and just really, it's the non-verbal communication that I think is now becoming the art form, whereas before it's been the other way around. So I think there's definitely been a 180 in that, and I'm really lucky as well in that one of the things I do get to do with a social enterprise called Revolution Hive is that I get to go into schools and help out deliver some workshops on PSG education, which is shockingly only 1% of the school curriculum if you look at the hours. But being able to talk to sort of 14 to 16-year-olds about global politics, world history, money, how to handle money, which I think is another big thing, mental health and growth mindset, meditation, like that kind of stuff. I think these are vital life skills that we definitely could have benefited from when we were in the schooling system ourselves. So I think that's another bonus in that through everything that's happened, I actually directly get to interact with people that I wish that I could go back to and say a few things to myself, and just say, hey, you know what, stuff's going to happen, but it's okay, because there are ways to deal with it, and you don't have to do it by yourself. Everyone should have a coach, a mentor in some way, shape or form, just to point out the things that we just simply can't see, because we can only see what's in front of us and maybe in our periphery, but someone else can tell us what's behind us, what's above us. Give us the full picture, and once we have all the right information is when we can make better informed decisions about where we want to take ourselves.
So, like, you're obviously really passionate about what you're doing and making a difference. Like, what's your vision for the future?
Wow. So my vision for the future, I would love to be involved in the conversation of transformative learning is what we call it, on a global level, and how to make this available for everyone, whether it's sharing wisdom or programs in schools or however that works. I think the way we're going as, say, a planet and as a world is potentially scary. I think in some ways we're going off a cliff, but then at the other time I feel that there's a real awakening going on as well. So there's these two really extreme things happening right now, and I want to be part of that conversation at the global level in terms of how can we consciously live as individuals, as community, as a planet, for every living being that's on this planet right now in a world that just simply works for everyone. What does that look like? How can we implement it? How can we sustain what we have? How do we utilize the abundance that's there rather than focusing on the scarcity in our mind? That's my big why. Is to really push myself to get to that level. And I know it's going to take some doing, and I know that, we've been in some programs that have really pushed us as well, but I think I'm willing to go through the ringer to do that if need be.
Yeah, that's huge, and I can tell that you're like all guns blazing to achieve it. So yeah, if anyone wants to come and like have a conversation with you, wants to get some personal coaching themselves, how would they get in touch?
Yeah, so my Facebook and my Twitter channels are at Viraj Oza. My website is www.virajoza.com. Online, there's a form that you can fill in the Work With Me section. So just tell me a little bit about yourself and what is it that connects me to you, and what is it that you're looking for, and that through that, we'll have a conversation to see how we can work together. And if I'm the right person to serve you, I'd love to. But obviously, I want to make it right for you as well. And on my Instagram, which is at Viraj Oza Coaching.
Awesome, cool. Thanks for that. So, is there anything else you want to share with people before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that nothing is ever broken. Nothing is wrong. It's just the way it is, and it's just a perspective. And anything and everything can be taken in any way you want it to grow. So choose the path of growth, because as uncomfortable as being stuck is, if you're going to have that same level of uncomfortableness, you may as well do that and pushing towards growth, because that's where all the possibilities are. And that, rather than living under a ceiling, there is no ceiling. There really isn't. You've just got to choose to make that sidestep and see what it is that you're after. And just really, Kev, I really want to acknowledge you as well, because as you said, we've kept up our weekly conversations for near enough 8 months, pretty much. I think we've probably missed the odd week here or there. Amazing Sunday night. You're back. There we go. I was trying to save it for you.
I had an alarm that went off and then and it just froze the whole screen. I don't know.
Do you know what? My evening routine notifications started going off as well. I was like, have I just done something there?
I thought I silenced it all, but apparently not. But
so, okay, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening, and everyone who's joined us as well. I really appreciate it. Yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch with Viraj and just have a chat, then either drop your name down below, or head over to one of his links or something like that. So yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and I look forward to our continuing calls.
You too, mate. Same time tomorrow, yeah? Our normal call?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I'll catch you then.
Yes, sir.
Take care, bud. Bye.